It's Dion Bickham from Comic-Con San Diego 2022 for CBR, and I'm here with Becky Cloonan.
Hello.
And Michael W. Conrad.
Michael Conrad, the writers for Batgirls and Wonder Woman for DC. So let's get started. What attracted you guys to doing a Wonder Woman comic book?
Well, they asked us, so that was the first thing. Wonder Woman's a character. She's like one of the ones you got to work on, you know. And I think there was a couple times when they reached out earlier, I think, in my career, and it just the timing just never seemed to work out. So this just seemed like everything fell into place, and we started on Immortal Wonder Woman, which was part of the Future State line. And it was just so exciting, and that just kind of like, it snowballed, and it's out of control. We don't know what we're doing anymore. Much.
When we did Immortal, we didn't know that we were going to have the opportunity to tell a bunch of Diana stories, so we kind of swung really hard, and we're like, let's show her at the very end of time, and let's incorporate all these really big ideas. And then we were doing a convention like around the time that was coming out, and our editor at the time was like, yeah, we're gonna, it was an online convention because of the pandemic. The editor was like, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Immortal, and then we'll talk about how you're taking on Wonder Woman ongoing. And then it went live to the con, and I was falling out. I was like, we're writing Wonder Woman on. This is unbelievable. Just a huge fan. And knowing, if we can hang in there, we'll be there for our 80th anniversary. And we hit that mile marker, so anything beyond that is just great.
We're going to issue 800.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting
what we
for
saying.
now. If we can make it to 800. So, yeah, get to explore some old characters, bring in some new stuff.
Yeah.
Try and...
And she's a character you just keep telling stories about. She's so dynamic. She's got such a big history, and like with Infinite Frontier, like everything's valid. So it's like we can just pull whatever from like villains and storylines. There's so much to call back to and so much to build on. Like every time we finish an arc and we start thinking about the new one, it like almost writes itself. It's wild.
Yeah, expanding on the Wonder family, Yara, Nubia, Donna, Cassandra, like it's a whole crew, and we get people who are like they got their favorites, and yeah, we want to find time to explore all of them, validate them, give them some time to shine. So we'll see if we got that opportunity in the future. We're gonna do it. We're gonna bring it for you.
Yeah, well, congratulations on getting to write such an iconic DC character. There's been a lot of really well-known creators that have worked with her in the past. George Perez comes to mind, and what would you like to leave on the legacy of Wonder Woman, like when you're with your run?
Oh God, that's so hard. I think one of the best things that as a creator, when someone says like, where should I start with Wonder Woman? If someone says, start with, the Infinite Frontier stuff, start with Immortal Wonder Woman, or start with Afterworlds, which was like our first start on the book. That's like the biggest honor you can have as like someone who's working on a character, to be like, this is such a great jumping on point. So hopefully that's what we're doing, is giving new readers like a chance to come in, and like that's the legacy that we want to leave, is like just adding more fans and more love for this character. It's like I don't know. Does that make sense?
I think it does.
Okay, good.
And as a co-writer, I have to say that.
You're looking at me both. I was like,
no,
these words
that's
are coming
good.
out of my mouth.
I think with Wonder Woman, like all the pieces are in place, and we've seen her done so strongly by a number of great creators. Everyone from, like you said, George Perez to Gail Simone to Greg Rucka. I can keep going on and on. What we would like to contribute is a continuation of these great elements that we've seen before, and kind of just update it a little bit, and make sure that when people think about Wonder Woman, they aren't thinking about some dusty old thing that is now just an icon that we engage with in that way, but make it a book that's worth picking up on a contemporary tip. And for the people that got into her because of movies and cartoons, give them a point of entry too, and give them cool stories.
And you brought back one of the coolest things about Wonder Woman that I personally just love, the Kangaroos. We have to talk about the Kangaroos. Whose idea was it to bring back the Kangaroos?
Yeah, well, it was Jumpa's, like, it was Jumpa's 80th anniversary or something as well.
Yeah, Jumpa had an anniversary this past year.
Yeah, and we wanted to do something with
We're like Jumpa special. Like, come on, let's go.
and actually the piece where we had Diana hanging out with Jumpa a little bit, it was originally much longer, and for the sake of the story, we were like, okay, we gotta trim this down. We got a lot of moving pieces in Trial of the Amazons, but we got big old Jumpa stories. We're waiting for that Jumpa ongoing.
A good Jumpa on point.
Yeah. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that I love about Wonder Woman is how it tackles like these really big issues, toxic masculinity and feminism, and on and on. But then there's also like, oh yeah, there's kangaroos that they ride, and it's just, for me, that's sick. I'm into it. I
You
love
can't
how
not
weird
love
it is.
Jumpa.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you also use a lot more Amazons in your story than we're used to seeing. I mean, I believe you've introduced a few yourselves. Who is your favorite out of all the Amazons that you're working with right now in the series?
Oh, it's Faruka, hands down.
Everyone loves Faruka. She's salty. She's nasty, but she's like, part of the sisterhood. She's that friend that you have over to, hey, we're gonna grill a few burgers and have some beers, and that's the person who is gonna be like roasting everybody at the barbecue, and you love them even more for it.
And Farouk is the person who you come on like when you have a problem and you need an honest opinion, and some of your friends are just gonna try to placate you and they won't tell you exactly the truth, and she's the person who will tell you exactly what you need to hear because she won't sugarcoat anything. And at first, I think when you meet her, it's like, can be off-putting. People read some of her stuff in Trial of the Amazons and they were like, she's really mean. It's like, no, but she's the best though. And she's not mean. That's just who she is, Some people are like that.
Like the Guy Gardner of the Amazons.
Knew you would tie it in. I'm a Guy Gardner guy as well. So, yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, not only do you guys get to write about Wonder Woman, but you also get to write about the Batgirls. So you get to jump into the world of Batman and the Batgirls as well. What is it you enjoy writing about the Batgirls?
Okay. Well, first of all, the Batgirls themselves they're so dynamic. They're such a good team. They play off each other so well. It's like incredibly easy. I say easy to write because they just, it's like hanging out with your best friends. I think one of my favorite things, though, is being back in Gotham. It's like a place that I've worked in Gotham a little bit, and when you leave and then you come back, it's like coming home. So there's something just so familiar about the city, so familiar about like the types of stories you can tell, and having the Batgirls as like main characters just makes it even better. So.
Yeah, the environment, kind of the wide breadth of stories that you can tell. So far, Batgirls has been light and kinetic and fast moving, and that's kind of by virtue of when we stepped in. We came in during Fear State. We had a ton of stuff that we had to kind of take care of and put a bow on before moving on to some of the exciting stuff that we've got coming up, which is a lot darker and a lot like, hey, here's these bright shining girls in this city that is out to kill them, and how are they going to deal with it? Yeah. So yeah, it's the environment is huge. Gotham is a character. We are all even if you don't read Batman routinely, we're all familiar with it from the movies, cartoons, video games, Legos, what have you. So when you're plopped into Gotham, particularly our little corner of it, hopefully you'll see something that you recognize from other media, but also something that you recognize from the cities that are around you. We all kind of drew from cities that we've lived in to kind of inform. They live in the Hill, and for me, like the Hill shows a lot of Oakland. And for you, it shows a lot of like Brooklyn.
Gowanus and like Red Hook. When I had a studio out there, it was like very like that, the warehouse district and just bridges and water towers. Exactly what you think of when you think of Gotham, I guess. But yeah.
You've also introduced some really, really cool bad guys. Like, there's a lot going on in these issues, and you particularly introduced the Saints, and I just love the Saints. What can you tell me about how you came up with the concept for the Saints?
We just didn't want to wipe aside the magistrate and be like, oh, now that's settled, and on to the next thing. One of the most scary things about these extremist groups is when the war is over and there's still people still out there so extreme that they're still fighting for these like dead belief systems, and it shows how deeply indoctrinated people can get in these kind of toxic value systems. Plus, with Jorge Corona doing the art, it's like, yeah, draw these weird like manga inspired.
Yeah, we had a couple ideas, but like Jorge really took it and ran with it and made them something like they're like a force of nature when they're on the page. So it kind of made us want to write them more, because you see how cool they look when they're on. You get it, and you're like, oh, we got to do more with them. Like they look too cool.
They're action figures.
Yeah.
Let's have Casco kick that big one around.
So I think we have time for one more question. What's a really big moment that's coming up in either one of your books that you just can't wait for fans to see?
Oh, I want to say so many things right now, and I can't. Okay, I can't spoil anything. There is a couple villains that we're using in our next arc of Batgirls that we're very excited about. One that you're probably very familiar with, and one that is like maybe more of a deep cut. Can I say that they're working together, kind of?
Yeah, you can say that.
They're working together. That's cool. Yeah.
And I'll say over in Wonder Woman, most people have seen the solicits. We're bringing Cheetah back, and we've redesigned her a bit with Marguerite Sauvage, and she looks awesome. She's gonna rule.
Yeah.
But also we're gonna see Wonder Woman kind of moving beyond a lot of the tragedy that she's been through, losing her mother, her own death, and coming back. And kind of reconnecting with members of the Justice League, which is, I'm about it. And I think readers are going to be about it. We've got some really incredible stories coming up that incorporate the Trinity. So it'll be fun.
All right, Becky, Michael, thank you very, very much for your time. I appreciate this. This has been great. I'm Dion Bickham, coming to you from CBR. Actually, we're at Comic-Con San Diego, having a great time. Thank you.